Would you like to live your best life possible, regardless of your imperfections? Discover cutting-edge tools and inspiration to let go of your limitations and expand your life beyond what you've ever imagined. On Imperfect Brilliance, we help you tap into your unique gifts and talents, uncovering and letting your brilliance shine. Join Certified Facilitator and Coach Betsy McLaughlin as she delves into different areas of your life to get unstuck and create the life that is truly possible for you. Betsy has changed her life by utilizing the tools and techniques she is sharing with you. What if your willingness to acknowledge your brilliance is the catalyst to creating a new reality? When you stop judging you, what else can you create in your life and in the world? Join Betsy live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to create magical and joyous possibilities for an hour of laughs, questions, tips, and more. We are excited to contribute and play with you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Imperfect Brilliance. I am Betsy McLaughlin, and I am really excited to introduce you guys to my guest, Miss Desiree Dumonde. So first of all, welcome, Desiree.
Thank you. Hi, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So a little bit about myself and Desiree. So I am a certified facilitator with Access Consciousness, as the promo even talked about a little bit. And I have been playing with the tools and the questions and the tips and the techniques for, I think, 6 or 7 years now. I've lost track. And to say that it has completely changed my life is like the understatement of the century. And I'm super grateful. So I started this radio show to share these things and to share the journey and have amazing guests on to talk about, things that they have used in their life and how they've made their lives greater. So Desiree is an opera singer. She is a vocal instructor, an artist, and she's also a certified facilitator with Access Consciousness, which is how we met. And Desiree is just so much fun to be around, and she loves uplifting and illuminating the gifts that all of us have and cultivating an abundance of joy to harness our capacities and our abilities to choose. And I love that description, invigorating our gifts and our true nature, which is joy. So I love that, and I desired, like, when I was asking, I asked the show who it would like to come on, and and you pinged like really loudly, and it's like, okay, cool, and what can we talk about? And it was after like knowing you and then reading some of your bio, it was like, oh, finding your joy and voice in the world just like rung out really loudly and clearly as one of the things to talk about today. So how much fun can we have talking about all of that? Ping, ping, ping. And and I love following the energy of that and really asking the show, because Imperfect Brilliance is its own, its own creation and its own entity in the world. So it's like, okay, who would you like to play with? And you were just so loud. It's like, awesome. How fun is that? So thank you so much for joining us today, Desiree.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And just as you're talking, Imperfect Brilliance, how does it get any better than that? And that has been the journey of my life, was to get away from or out-create this very insane, long journey of trying to perfect everything. and letting that go and reclaiming so much fun, and really, like, perfection actually is the destroyer of brilliance in and of itself. So I love the title. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, and that is, so much of what we do. We expect perfection. And then when we fall short of whatever it is that we've decided is perfection, then it just spirals into this whole thing of judgment and, lack and everyone else is better and, just all of that insanity that we can do to ourselves. And, so as you're talking about it, I'm thinking, oh my God, as an opera singer, like you've got to have an amazing thing about, wanting to perfect your voice and to perfect the song and your performance and all of that. So how do you navigate going from that to having the joy and the contribution of what your voice is in the world?
Wow. I mean, full body goosebumps just to be asked this question and to know that I have begun this journey, and just acknowledging the question and myself and something that I know here is really exciting. Well, I would say for starters, none of this would have been possible for me without having the tools of access consciousness. I had always been a seeker of something different, and an artist and a musician through from that very nature in and of itself, the joy of expressing the difference and those unusual, mysterious wonders of life and living was the whole reason I even was an artist or a musician. And it's true, the industry, the craft in and of itself, there's so much rigidity, there's so much perfection, and there's so much judgment and criticism and elimination and competition and politics and everything, as we have in many of our careers and avenues, but in opera, it's ruthless. So I had grown silent, and when I couldn't seem to have the joy and the magic, that childlike wonder, while also having a really mastered craft of excellence, when I couldn't find that balance, I went silent and I had stopped singing. And when I found the tools of access, there was just so much allowance and permission to be me anyway. And so I will just start with the tools, like just increasing my allowance for other people's judgments. And that was the first deep breath of, I could do this whether or not I ever match my conclusions about perfection or their conclusions about perfection. I could just have allowance for the judgments and the definitions of what all that was, and sing anyway. And I don't know if I'm conveying this articulately, but it was a beyond this reality revelation that I could be me anyway in the face of judgment, including mine of myself and of my craft. That nothing could actually stop me. So that's the most I can say right now.
Wow. Well, and I wonder, so why did you grow silent to begin with? What was that for you?
It was when I couldn't. So I have a capacity to deliver whatever the person in front of me has decided is perfection. And what I would do is go from one teacher or one coach or one conductor or one job to another, and just bend, fold, and mutilate myself into whatever they had decided was perfection or the closest I could get to it, and still meanwhile getting criticized or judged, or positively or negatively. But for me, that wasn't at the time the playfulness of being whatever was required. I was actually bending, folding, and really mutilating myself to what other people's judgments were. So I had lost the giggle in it. I had lost the looseness and the freedom and just the the real magic, the consciousness in it was not active for me. I would hear the music and there was this wonderful engagement of what I knew I came here to do and be. But the judgment of myself and the judgment they had of me, I bought as more real and more valid than the tools of consciousness, which would permit me and allow me to be the magic that I always knew I was, and out-create it and deliver something that could move and touch all of us. So it was like, as long as I tried to fit into a mold, I could do it, and it still didn't seem to have the effect on them that I knew I could be.
Gotcha. So, like what I'm hearing is where you were trying to fit into something like someone else's, or what you decided was someone else's expectation. So you're kind of like cutting pieces off to fit into this like shape you've decided you need to fit into. And as you do that, you lose so much of what makes you you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then, and then you get to the point where you're kind of like, I don't even know who I am anymore, because you've spent so much time trying to please others and to do what you think they want you to do. And you shut down the uniqueness of who you are, that makes you, that makes everyone, that is drawing people to you to begin with, so it's really interesting how we do that to ourselves.
We do, and I can only imagine how it applies in so many different avenues and life stories. But I also will add to that even when I had, like, when I could mold myself into something and I got all positive reviews, I still left disappointed, knowing I had this whole secret container of magic that I wasn't permitted to release because it wasn't in their definition. So anywhere that we make ourselves small is where we may be, anywhere we're cutting ourselves down or making ourselves less than the magic we came here to be is where we're buying somebody else's lie or projection.
Yeah. Yes. And so sometimes I will actually run the clearing statement on the show, which is a magic wand that clears energy. So there's some energy here that we're aware of, that we're talking about. And so let's destroy and uncreate all of that, which is the clearing statement is right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, boys and blondes. And literally, you don't have to understand. The words are designed on purpose to not make sense. And it's to bypass our logical thinking mind, where we want to go to figure everything out. And so what if you didn't even have to figure it out? And if you would like more information, there is actually a website. So Dr. Dane here, the co-founder of Access Consciousness, has done a lovely video, and it is theclearingstatement.com. So you can go check it out if you would like. And it's just so interesting, like what we can create. So you had all this stuff that you had hidden, and you weren't even sharing, you felt like you weren't even permitted to share these special gifts that you had. Yeah. So now what changed so that you are now like able to tap into that and feel like it is okay for you to share those gifts with people?
I'll say I don't know how much despair people want to put on themselves before they make a demand for something different, but I had a combination of things going on, and I knew that my life and living was meant to be so much fun and so much magic. And I started with making a demand for what I always knew and not giving in to that small space or that frustration or that anger or that disappointment. I just wasn't going to let it win. And I remember the day that I just hit my limit with, you know what? I don't want to leave this place. I love this planet and I love all these people, but this isn't working for me. So I'll say making a demand, a really present conscious demand, changed everything first. That's when I started asking questions rather than living in the conclusions that I was let down, frustrated, and angry. And a lot of those conclusions, I had a lot of evidence and I had a lot of good reason to stick to them. But that demand I made unlocked my conclusion. And I started to ask questions to everyone and everything. And luckily, I pulled and I asked the universe for real mojo, like hook me up with what I require, because I came here to sing. And before I knew it, I was, I was choosing classes and access and being facilitated. And this was a place that encouraged me to ask the questions that no one wanted me to ask, that I felt I could never ask. I felt like I could never ask them, or if I asked them, it would be hopeless. And in this environment, the question itself was where the change started. And it was so rapid fire. Like as soon as you make a demand and you start asking a question, I'd say within a year, I was singing again in Europe. I mean, I didn't even know I had it in me anymore. I didn't know if I even liked it anymore. I thought all this old stuff would come up and I would have all these, things. And just the joy of me was right there. It had never left. And so the magic of a demand and a question just opened me up real fast to me again.
Wow. What a great place to take our first break. You guys are listening to Imperfect Brilliance with our guest today, Desiree Dumonde, and we will be back very soon. Thank you so much.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Hi, guys. Betsy McLaughlin here with my guest today, Desiree Dumonde, where we are talking about the joy and just joy of life. And how do you, Desiree before the break was talking to us about making a demand that things change. So I went through something pretty similar in my life where it just got to the point where I had so lost myself. I didn't know who I was, and I was so depressed, and I had a lot of illness and a lot of pain in my body, and I wasn't sure I wanted to be here anymore. And I made the same kind of demand, like something has got to change, or why in the world am I here? What is the point of all of this? And so through that is how I also found access consciousness and found that, yes, there really are different things that you can create with your life. And so for listening to your story about how here you have this amazing gift, and we all have amazing gifts too, guys. By the way, all you guys listening, you all have lots and lots of amazing gifts. Just
absolutely.
Yourself, right? Right? Like, how many gifts do we all have that we haven't even tapped into yet?
Oh.
Right? So you were talking about you made the demand that you desire to sing again, and within a year you're in Europe, you're singing, and I have heard Desiree sing, you guys. It's beautiful, it's magical. And to watch how literally your body lights up and takes on this whole energy as you're singing. It's hard to describe what I saw, and I saw a video. I haven't had the pleasure of seeing you sing in person yet. I know I will. Mm-hmm. But seeing this amazing voice come out of you it was magical. And we all have, you're welcome. And we all have a magical voice, whether we sing it or we, however it comes out of you. It doesn't have to literally be an opera singer.
No.
And so how do you, what questions did you ask? Because we talk about a lot with Access. We don't have the answers. What we do is ask questions. And these questions that we ask can be like breadcrumbs. Like, we follow the energy and ask more questions, and things show up. And a lot of them show up as if by magic, and they appear as we're asking the questions. So if you could share with us, please, some of the questions that you asked that changed the trajectory of your life.
Oh, you could make me cry with this one, but the question that I invite everyone to ask, and I ask it every day, is what does the gift of me create for everyone and everything? And what does it create for me to show up? And that was like two of the things, because for me it was so much about hiding, and it wasn't just my singing voice. I was hiding in business. I was hiding in finances. I was hiding in my community. I was hiding in many other ways in my voice, how I can engage people. Even as a teacher, I had not nearly as many students as I would actually like to get my hands on. So I was playing small, and so when I started to ask questions like, what is it? What is it that my gift creates here? What is the gift of me? What is the gift of me? We're not here for no reason. We know within each of us is this, plethora of gifts that can be activated by our very choice. And so when I was especially just beginning to ask questions and hadn't made huge strides yet, but unlocking sadnesses and these conclusions of depression and story, and I started to ask more and more questions. I will tell you that the vulnerability, I was asking, like, for the vulnerability and the willingness to fall flat on my face, as well as the willingness to really show up and be great. That I didn't have a point of view anymore about success and failure, but that just getting myself out in the arena, just get myself dirty. I'd rather just keep going for it with no expectation of who likes this anymore. I mean, it's very strange to be an opera singer in this day and age. Everybody always wants me to sing something else, and I do love to sing everything, but I always felt like I was born in the wrong time at the wrong place. I have the wrong gifts. Nobody likes this, so why should I even do it anyway? And so my gifts in and of themselves are so different, not just that I sing opera, but all of my gifts. The way that I love to work with teenagers and the kinds of facilitation and education I do, and everything is super different, and it doesn't seem like it fits anywhere. And so I was asking more questions like, what, if I didn't have to worry about failing or succeeding, like what is the gift of me here, and what does it create for others? And my students were just, they always have just blossomed and bloomed, and they were the walk to my talk, if I can say it like that.
Oh, wow.
They continued to just come in the studio and leave bigger and brighter, and come in the studio and leave bigger and brighter, and scholarships and gigs and opportunities and, liberation in who they be and how they show up in their sexuality and in their life and in their living, and watching individual after individual miracleize. I started to get, what? The gift of me miracleizes others, and it could also miracleize me. And so I wonder, I just was not willing to fear success or failure. And I still really, that's a question I like to play with every day. I would rather just get dirty, just get out there, just do it and be different and be weird and be vulnerable and see what shows up. And I can just say quite confidently that the days and the hours and the minutes that I function from that attitude, miracles is all I perceive. It's the days that I start to get back into an idea about I have to try to get this accomplished or that accomplished, and I start to put expectations on myself or judge where I am from, financially, or how many people even know I exist or not, these weird, silly things that we compute ourselves back down. And those are the days I don't be me. So the questions, my favorite question is, what would it take for me to just have so much fun today, being the weird, different gift that I am, and what gifts do I have, and what capacities do I have that could reveal themselves today? And they might be little funny things, they might, it all just is beyond my ability to even report, but these amazing things happen. It can be how your garden grows, and how I voice my gratitude within my mind, my inaudible voice in my head, my gratitude for me, my gratitude for my home. And then I notice my voice in how I engage with others, my voice with how I'm silent, how I'm willing to be silent.
How you're willing to be silent or unwilling to be silent?
I would say willing. There's a beautiful voice of silence that is also a voice in the world, a willingness to stop the madness, not listen to a lot of the thoughts, and really voice a stillness for myself and a space for myself and for others, as much as engaging with joy and possibilities and question and music. I would say that the more questions you ask, the more consciousness you invite into your life, your voice is how you walk, how you talk, how you breathe, how much you're willing to think or not think. It's like, the singing is like the easy part for me now. I'm like, ooh, yay, I get to sing. The real voice is like, you know, what I'm going to choose to say, and what voices are relevant to engage with. And there's, when we choose to show up as the voice, we truly be the joy. You start to really engage with other people who are voicing from their joy as well, not from their problems, not from their limitations.
I love that sentence that you just said, engaging with the joy. And so I wonder, and one of the things, and thank you so much for everything you just shared. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And, you know, I wonder is one of my favorite kind of questions to ask. So I wonder how we could engage with even more joy, you know, how, and what would that look like? So in engaging with the joy of everything you're choosing in your life, what does that create? You know, what other possibilities and opportunities does that invite in from that place of total joy? And I'm sure, you know, as you've been asking all of these questions and amazing opportunities are presenting themselves to you, you know, in that place of the gratitude that you also mentioned, what other avenues are waiting to be explored? So fun. So with this,
so fun,
right? So, and I know that you are such a gift for your students as well, and being that encouraging, inspiring energy. I can only picture the kind of the ripple effect that your, you know, what you've learned and the questions you're asking and who you're being, like how that is contributing to so many of you, probably every single one of your students. And so I wonder, like, what joy and gift and abundance that you're contributing to them, and then how is that changing their worlds?
Thank you for that acknowledgement. It is so beyond heart expanding. It is beyond this reality kind of gratitude and brilliance in the center of my heart when I look at and perceive where they all are and the seeds of beauty that they plant everywhere they go. And I have so many stories over many years. I mean, I've been teaching for 17 years and Access as a facilitator a little over a year, but been doing Access for 5 years. And they just percolate, and it's one of my great asks and, you know, a fun creation to play with. Whether I ever succeed or fail at it is not in my focus anymore, but one of my great desires is to have as many people coming together, to be together, to ask questions, to sing, to be vulnerable. And when I say sing, yes, sometimes literally singing, but it's amazing how much of a voice lesson was not so much about singing. It was about looking at wherever we were withholding something. And it's so easy with someone else to just see where they're hiding this little, it's like a little hidden part of themselves, and just giving them enough questions to know that little piece or part of themselves can now come out of the cave and be okay. And they just start to be be all of themselves, and that sound, that actual sound of their being, the way that they speak and engage with their friends, and the way they show up. And they're all such leaders in their schools, and then the ones that I had years ago are now grown and married and jobs and live all over the place.
Right.
Just unbelievable beings. And the more of that, the more we have of that, I mean, what does that create for the world? When we have more of an actual language of communion and joy.
It's so true. And it's such a joy to see to see people bloom and blossom and flourish and be who they be. It's like that's such a joy for me, and it's a priceless thing to be able to witness and be a part of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the magic of change really happens. I mean, that's where problems dissolve, and when you're around somebody who's functioning from that, your problems begin to dissolve. And the more of us being that and doing that, there's something different available.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like Dr. Dane often says, like a kumbaya circle. It's really just this unbelievable courtesy and enjoyment of one another. I have so many people now in my life that there's just this wonderful, joyful engagement of courtesy and caring for one another without it being super intense or heavy or invasive. We don't share our problems anymore. We actually be something together. And one of the greatest things I do have to say for anyone out there, whether you think you can sing or not, one of the greatest ways to quickly forget whatever you think you're upset about is to sing, especially with someone else, vulnerably.
Wow.
to just sing vulnerably and not have to get it right and not have to sound great and not be in a competition or a TV show or just sing.
Sing badly.
Sing badly. Actually, we do that a lot. Like, it's really, especially for really like on point perfectionist type singers, I love to make them sing imperfectly.
Sing bad on purpose. Well, while we're at break, you guys can practice singing bad on purpose. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, guys. Stay tuned.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me, and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Imperfect Brilliance. Thank you all so much for being with us today. And our time is going by so fast on today's show, and I'm loving our conversation with Desiree Dumonde. So just as a reminder, before we get back into the last segment here, Desiree, for anybody who would like to reach out to you, find out more about you, can you let everyone know how they can find you?
Yes. Releasingstudios.com is actually going live in the next 24 to 48 hours. So releasingstudios.com. And then if you're looking for me before that, you can always PM me on Facebook, or you're welcome to email me at releasingstudios@gmail.com. And that's plural, awesome. Releasing Studios. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. And her last name is
and also on that
Monde, and her contact info. You know, it's easy to find her on Facebook, and you guys can always reach out to me if you can't find her. And then, as a reminder, how you all can find me is my email is accessbetsy, Betsy, @gmail.com. My website is creatingyumminess.com, and you can also find me on Facebook. And Desiree and I are both. You can also find us on the Access Consciousness website just by searching for our names. And right now in the world, Desiree lives in Colorado in the United States of America, and I'm on the East Coast, also in the United States. So we travel all over and facilitate classes online and in person. So if, you guys, we can always create something. And I'm just so enjoying this conversation today. Right before the break, we were talking about being willing to sing badly. And I remember it's so much fun, like just to actually on purpose, like turn it up, to turn the volume way up on like whatever it is you've decided that you're really bad at, and actually give it attention and then exaggerate it. And I know whenever I do that, I end up cracking up laughing my butt off.
Exactly. And it's really the joy that's the magic. And before you know it, you never know what might change in your voice. If you're having that much fun, it might start not being as bad as you think.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So it really can be, I'm sorry, I'm like have all these things that I want to say at once here. And I know even like there can be a time when I'm upset over something. And so I have even done it with that, like just turning it up. I'm like, all right, fine, let's be upset. And then just be, all right, how upset do you want to be? All right, well, and just turning the volume up. And then again, I will get to like cracking up at myself over how upset I'm being. And there's something in that energy of exaggerating it that will shift the energy for me. So I love that idea of how bad could you possibly sing? All right, well, let's see.
Well, yeah, and it's like the title of your show, like Imperfect Brilliance. Like, again, the brilliance is in the ease, joy, and glory. Like, when you exaggerate it and you start to get that, like, your attention span to judge yourself is tough to hold on to for a really long time. So if you've turned it up and you're like, I'm bad and now I'm really bad, eventually the humor and the joy of your true being is going to break through that.
Yes.
and
yes.
You start having fun.
Totally. And I remember seeing a video of some friends of mine had put together, and they are Joy of Business facilitators. And they made a video that is like, all right, how bad can we make this video? And so on purpose, they made this video, and they showed, people doing various things that were absolutely hilarious, and like saying all the wrong things. And one person was doing an interview, like pretending like they were having an interview, but they were walking really fast and they were so busy they couldn't stop to make time for the interview. And just like, it was hilarious to see this. And the whole energy of this whole video was so fun and such an invitation to be like, oh yeah, like, so how many different places in our lives do we take things so seriously?
Absolutely. I mean, I like to play with the word performance. Like there's clients that I've worked with that I realize they're performing. They're like under the same kind of pressure as an opera singer, performing being a mother or being a wife or being, you know, a friend. And it's so funny. I'm like, would you be willing to be, you know, the most imperfect mother, like whatever it takes to shake the judgment.
Yeah.
But it's this lie of performance rather than just really enjoying and showing up.
Yeah. Well, you know, like life is messy. And everywhere, you know, we think that life is messy. Even when you're creating a meal, you're going to make a little bit of a mess. No matter how hard you try to not have a crumb on the counter or a splash on your stove, you're going to end up at some point with splashes on your stove. So, you know, in the willingness to be messy, like I'll walk in sometimes and my husband is a great cook, and I cannot believe that there is even an inch left on the counter. Like, he will have every pot and pan out, and there's food everywhere, and I'm just like, oh my God, here's the hurricane. And I used to get mad about it. I mean, I'd get really mad. And then I think, wait a minute, here he's cooking something. He's creating this delicious meal. Like, just get over yourself. And I would either now I just go in. I'm like, and I'm laughing about it. It's like, oh, Hurricane Dan's in the kitchen. How amazing is this? And I'll go behind him and start cleaning up and like pitching in instead of before I would just get mad. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what are you doing here? Like, and I'm so grateful that he didn't stop because I got mad. You know, he's got this great ability to not take me seriously when I take myself very seriously. Thank God.
I actually love how you have this example. That is so funny. How lucky are you? You have someone who does not buy your seriousness as real.
Yeah, thank God.
When you said, like, you know, that shift of like when we want to hyper control a situation, but there's this funny shift when we're like, oh, I could just like pitch in and clean up a little bit around him and it doesn't matter. And had this never happened, you would have had fast food or something.
Right.
Exactly. It's so hilarious. Like our control and our perfection often will talk us out of the most delicious yumminess. You know, I'm like hearing myself say this, and I'm like, wow, I'd like to turn this up more for me. Or like today, let's do this. Like the control and the perfection will often talk you out of the delicious mess.
Yes, absolutely.
And that, like we could go in lots of directions there, but the delicious mess can be like, oh my gosh, that can be a real contribution to your family, to your business, to your body, to your relationships. Like, wow, I love that your website is creating yumminess. I'm like, that's exactly this energy.
Thank you. Yeah, totally. And so I'm loving our conversation so much. And it's like, how much more joy could you create in every moment with everything that you're doing? And I had a telecall last night, was actually about putting the fun back in business. And we talked about that quite a bit, of like joy in everything you do, even if it's doing something you absolutely cannot, you know, like some mundane thing that you've decided you don't like to do. Well, what if you turn the molecules a little bit, turn your point of view, and where could you make it fun? So if it's like, let's say, for instance, I know my husband doesn't really like to fold the laundry. Okay, cool. So first, you know, if it was something I didn't like to do, like folding laundry, well, where could I make it fun? Is it turning music on? Is it, you know, putting a big pile in front of me and seeing how fast I could fold it, or whatever? Like, to turn that energy of whatever it is you've decided you do not like to do into how much fun, right? How much fun could you make it? What game could you create with it? With that no judgment, no point of view energy that we've been kind of weaving through our conversation together.
Absolutely.
Can you find somebody else to do it for you? So go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, there's so many things, and I could like bring this into the analogy of singing as well, but there's so many things that we've decided we don't like to do that isn't true, that isn't actually, it's just not true. Like, the first thing someone ever said, especially at my most silent time when I was not singing, I was this, I'll never sing again opera singer. And someone was like, would you just sing a Christmas carol? Like, would you just sing the dumbest Christmas carol right now? And I burst out into laughter because I saw how much I'd resisted that and made it not fun. Like, I don't like that. That's not fun for me. And the minute they asked me to do it, I laughed and I sang, and it was so much fun. And it hadn't occurred to me to just sing anything because I bought this hilarious point of view that isn't fun for me. And so it was really weird. Like, there's so many things I bet any of the listeners out there that you think isn't fun for you that absolutely is.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
And business for sure. I mean, as an artist and a musician, I thought for me, I'm going to do the painting, the writing, the singing, the studying, and somebody else has to figure everything else out. And then really angry and frustrated all the time because it was never really what I would have done. I knew I could have done better, but had decided I don't like business. And the whole time having these brilliant ideas. And as I but really realize I love business, and stop listening to this weird voice in my head, like, you don't like business, you're a musician. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a lot of things, actually. I find a lot of things fun.
Well, and that's it. We can decide something, right? And then we've closed the door on it where, we've decided whatever it is we're not good at. And so anything that even closely resembles that, we'll just be like, nope, can't do it. Don't do it. I'm terrible at it. I won't do it, whatever. I couldn't possibly ever learn it. And, so it's like, I wonder how many other things, we have gifts and capacities at that we've decided we don't.
And that's really the joy of your voice. Like, that's because your voice is, again, like for me, I'm always telling people your voice is your whole body and your whole being, how you show up here, how you walk and talk. And maybe it's really fun to go on a walk every day and you've never done it. Maybe it's really fun for you to sit outside at 6 a.m. and you always thought you wanted to sleep till 8. But if you get out there and your body loves it, you realize it's super fun for you. That's your voice. That's the voice of you and how you're voicing your life, with yourself, with your being, with the world. Like, I love, that's another question maybe, is like, what else is fun for me that I haven't even begun to play with or engage with? What have I decided isn't fun that is fun? And engage with the voice of me.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. God, I love these questions. And because it not having the answers and asking these questions, even in that is fun. Right? It's like, I don't have to have the answers. I don't have to know how to figure it out. I don't have to know what's going to happen next. And that's the joy of living, right? The adventure of living, and playing with you and what you would like to create and explore and cultivate that abundance of joy that I talked about, that Desiree had in her bio, of cultivating the abundance of joy as we harness our abilities and our capacities to choose and invigorate our gifts and our true nature, which is joy. And it's like, that's so beautiful. And so I wonder, like, what you could choose today to do, like to try, that you've never allowed yourself because you've already decided you can't do it.
I get a real mischievous, joyful, my whole body lights up. And I love that it can change. It can change every day. Like today I might want to go lift weights. I don't know why. I don't know what that means. And tomorrow I might want to eat 30 pizzas because that's fun. I don't know. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yes.
It following the energy and just asking that question. Like, I love when you asked it, my whole body lit up, and I'm really curious. I'm curious to explore.
Oh, that's amazing. You know, and I double dog dare you guys listening to see, you know, what is that? And it doesn't have to be some grand, huge thing. It could be something little, could be something big. Like, it doesn't matter. And, you know, and if you be, like Desiree talked about before, being willing to fall. Oh my gosh, the time is up. Thank you, Desiree, so much for being with me today on Imperfect Brilliance. What a pleasure it was to have you with me.
Right back at you. What a joy. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys have way too much fun creating more joy in your lives. Until next time, have a wonderful week. Thanks so much for tuning into Imperfect Brilliance. You guys are awesome. Bye-bye.